What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at the brand new Transformers Studio Series 86, number 27 and 28, Autobot Ratchet and Brawn. And this 2-pack is going to be the Target exclusive where they get killed off in the 1986 film. Now, I was skeptical at first to pick this up because the price point, $60, is a little expensive. But luckily I got it for some Target Circle deals, so I only paid around $38. So yay, so that's a pretty good steal. But overall, I'm going to be going over this figure and why you should get him before it's too late. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with the packaging. The packaging looks very lovely. We get two artwork pieces of Ratchet and Brawn, both of them dying in that 1986 film with the figures inside. Transformers the movie, Transformers Generation, Autobot Studio Series, Ratchet and Brawn. Here we have some nice side profiles, or just the same images we saw right there, but zoomed in, 86, 27, and 28. Moving along to the back, we get some really nice product shots of them. We get Ratchet and Brawn, and we have their little bioses. In final moments, Ratchet and Brawn try to fend off the enemy ambush on the Autobot shuttle. So in the 1986 film, they do die from Megatron and Starscream and the other Constructicons in the film. And yeah, unfortunately they die. And this set is traumatizing a bunch of 50 and 40-year-olds who grew up with the 1986 film. But overall, yeah, pretty cool. And I really do like these product shots because we have this little line on Ratchet and a little bit more details on Brawn, which we'll touch base on the figure itself. But overall, it looks pretty cool. And this side is basically the same side we saw right here. So yeah, nothing new. So yeah, that's pretty much the packaging. So now let's crack these guys up and see if they're really as good as I think they are. And here we have the figures out of the packaging and with their box art. And one thing I did want to say in the box art, well, this doesn't really matter as figures going in 2025 won't be having backdrops anymore, which is very annoying and quite unfortunate. But we do have this correct backdrop. Now, I don't know if you remember, but in the previous Buzzworthy package, we had a backdrop of the Decepticon side where they break out of the hole and then they shoot at the Autobots, whereas this one is where the Autobots are seated. So I think this is a really great attention to detail for both of them. And the figures, well, the figures are really cool. Now, enough about the backdrop. Now let's focus on the figures. Now, if you've seen my Ratchet and Brawn review, now most of this is the same, but it's a good refresher. Now, taking a look at Brawn first. Now, Brawn is very unique. I really do like how he does have this hole in his chest where he gets shot in the shoulder and dies from Starscream. But also another little detail I did want to show you is that these pieces right here, the knee piece and the forearm piece, are in gray, whereas on the original figure they were painted in silver. And his gun is painted in silver, whereas in the original figure it was just plain black. And I really do like the shade of green they use this time. It's a different shade. We'll bring in the other Brawn just for a closer look. But overall, just taking a look at the detail at the battle damage, it looks really nice. We get some silver, kind of brownish, and we get some really nice details going alongside on the robot form and on the legs going throughout the body as well. Moving alongside the back, we have the backpack. It's nothing new, so yeah, if you have the original Brawn, you shouldn't be expecting anything new from this. Now, the same could also be said with Ratchet. Now, the only difference with Ratchet is the window piece is broken and it's animation accurate, and we have that line that's animation accurate as well. Now, the white is the same. The red is a kind of a different shade, and so is the Autobot symbol of life. That one is also a different shade. The head sculpt is obviously different as well, as this one is a more shocked head sculpt of him dying. And it's pretty interesting how they managed to pull all of these off. And honestly, I want a proud, clean version. But overall, we have these characters right here, and it looks very sick. Now, starting off on Articulation. The Articulation is basically the same. First, let's start with Ratchet. Ratchet has a swivel joint at the arm, he has a hinge joint at the arm, he has 360 range of motion on the bicep, 90-degree bend, and past 90-degree bend to go in transformation. He does have wrist rotation, obviously, looks very amazing. He has waist rotation, he has leg rotation, he can do the splits, go back to that far and front to that far, and has thigh rotation. He also has knee rotation, and ankle rotation, and foot rotation. Foot rotation is mostly to transformation. Ankle rotation is kind of necessary for any Transformer figure to have. So yeah, overall, he has a buttload of rotation, and it's really nice. And his head is on a ball joint, so we can look up, down, barely tilt side to side, and look left and right. I got this one. This one is very sturdy, so I'm really glad I got this one. Now for Brawn. Brawn has the same articulation as well. He has a ball joint at the arm. He has a past 90-degree hinge straight at the elbow. He does not have wrist rotation, kind of a missed opportunity. He does have head rotation, so he could move it a whole 360. He does have waist rotation, so that's pretty cool. he has leg rotation, he can do the splits, he can kick back to that far and front to this far. He has knee rotation, thigh rotation, he has ankle rotation, and two toe rotations. So yeah, that's really interesting on how he's articulated. But yeah, practically you're not getting anything new. The only thing new from these figures from the old ones is the battle damage and the difference in colors, which I'll bring those out in just a moment. So here we have all of the Autobots: Ratchet, Brawn, Ironhide, and Prowl, all of them in their dead/broken forms. And I really do like having them all right here because we get a look at all of them when they die and when they're like dying at the same time. So it's really cool that I completed this, and I really hope to add these with the upcoming Studio Series Constructicons and have a full-on battle between the Autobots and Decepticons. It would look really sick. Now, here we have a comparison between Brawn and his original counterpart. Now, I don't know if you noticed the difference, but there isn't that much of a difference besides the paint. The only difference is the paint and the tiny little piece right there. So, bringing these two for a closer look, for you to see, we can see the only difference is the shade in plastic. This one's more of a orangish kind of metallic green, and this one is more of a smoother yellow-orange, lightly army green. This one's like a dark army green, and this one's a light army green. So the only difference is the color. And right here, these pieces, as I said earlier, the forearm pieces are painted in silver on the original, as well as the knee pieces, whereas this one they're just sculpted in plain gray plastic. And then the gun is painted in silver, whereas the original, it's in black. So overall, that's what you're getting from this figure. Besides this new head sculpt and everything, nothing new except the paintwork and the tiny sculpt work details. Now here I have both Ratchets. Now both Ratchets have subtle and major differences. Now let's go over the major differences. Now first off, the animation accurate windows and the broken chest piece. Now the broken chest piece has a lot of nice details if you do want to see that. It has a lot of nice details as the head sculpt on both of them are different. Now the windows on the sides are different, and the new one has the little red line that goes throughout the vehicle mode, whereas the original one didn't, but does have the space for it, which is really peculiar why Hasbro decided to make this one the more animation accurate, where you can't put up a normal window. So yeah, we win some, we lose some. Now I'm turning our attention toward the feet. Now the feet on both of these are very unique for these particular reasons. The original one had unpainted windows and an unpainted rear bumper, whereas this one has a painted windows and painted rear bumper. So yeah, that's pretty different. And then the redness on the torso and the hands are different. The original one has this darker, stronger red, more of like a cherry red, whereas this one has a lighter red. And could also be said about the Autobot Insignia of Life, whereas the original one has a stronger red, whereas this one has a lighter red. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And the head sculpts are obviously the same. So the major differences are probably the Autobot Insignia of Life, chest piece, red line, head sculpt, and animation accurate windows, and the bumper. So yeah, that's pretty much what's different from the original Ratchet to the new Ratchet. So yeah, here is the before and here's the after. So here's starting off the comparisons. We have our original Studio Series Brawn and Ratchet and our new Studio Series Brawn and Ratchet. But we already went over the differences, so I'm not going to really waste time on that. Here we have the regular Ironhide. Here we have Perceptor, very large, similar to the original Ironhide and Ratchet Brawn molds. Here we have them next to Jazz, Bumblebee, Huffer, Wheeljack, Rider, which by far has to be a really cool figure. G2 Dragstrip, or also known as Shadow Strip. 86 Starscream, and this figure towers over both Brawn and Ratchet. And just imagine when they released the 86 Megatron, I hope it includes a little minigun which we could attach on Starscream to recreate that scene. That would be so cool. Hasbro, I know you listened to me when I said something about the backdrop. Now listen to me now. If you guys are gonna do the 86 Megatron, please include a gun. And here we have the Commander Class Optimus Prime. And Optimus Prime to Ratchet and Brawn, this scale is very accurate to the G1 show and in the movie, and I really do like the scale. And we have all of these Autobots that do die off in the film, but it's so glad to see them all together in the 1986 Studio Series line. And here we have them next to Bumblebee Movie Megatron. I just hope the Leader Class Megatron for Studio Series is going to be around this size, as this size looks killer. Finally, here we have the Studio Series, or also known as the Legacy or War for Cybertron, Kingdom Galvatron. And finally, here we have him next to Rodimus Prime. Now, right before transformation, I did want to mention to you the dying gimmick. So, as you are aware, these figures are remolded to fit into these blast effects to give off the impression that they are dying. So, where to put them to create the awesome blast effect, looks, you're gonna attach one right here on Brawn, and you can attach the other one right here. And at certain angles, it looks like Brawn has been shot through entirely. Or if you want, you could just attach one on Ratchet and one on Brawn. They are the same mold as the original one, even though on the box it does look slightly different. But just be aware that this is an entirely same sculpt, so you won't be getting anything new. The only thing that is probably new is the highlights at the end look slightly different under this light, but pretty much that is it. That's pretty much the only difference that there is from the original one. Now, as far as accessories go, they contain the same accessories as said previously, so you won't be getting anything new. But for now, let's delve into the transformation and see how these guys looked with their broken windshields. So right before transformation, I did want to tell you that these transformations are the same as the original figures. So if you have seen my video on that, no need to look at this. You could skip ahead, or you can watch this if you don't have the original figures or these figures, as the transformation is the exact same. So without further ado, sit back, relax, follow along. The first step you're going to have to do, obviously, is remove the accessories on both of them. But let's start with the transformation. And there we have Brawn and Ratchet fully transformed into that awesome looking destroyed car mode. Well, it mostly applies for Ratchet as the windshield piece was the chest piece and is visible in both car form and vehicle and robot form. Meanwhile for Brawn, nothing is really different besides the coloring. Now I did want to go over Brawn a little bit because the transformation on Brawn is really simple, but also I did want to show you that the color scheme on this Brawn to the original is sort of different. Now if we look at it, we could see that there is a clear difference between both of them, and we can even see the yellow on this one is more of this lighter yellow and this one's more of an orange yellow. Whichever one you prefer is personal preference, but I personally like this one's car form, but I also like this one's robot form, so you win some, you lose some. Now the only difference is probably the chest piece and the coloring, but that's about it for Brawn and the gun itself. But overall, it looks really, really cool. The details are pretty much the same. We get all of that really lovely detail going out throughout the car, on the hood, on the windshields, and the top of the car, the wheels, everything is exactly the same. And the only difference probably is that they did listen to me when I said color this piece in, and yeah, they colored it in because the original one didn't have that color, and now we have this piece colored, which looks better. And honestly, I'm going to be displaying Brawn like this probably permanently in the collection, but it looks pretty cool. For general size comparison, here is how Ratchet scales along prow and how Brawn scales along prow. So yeah, if you have this figure, I know a lot of people have, this is pretty much how it scales. If you don't, I don't see why not. Buy them on Amazon. I'm pretty sure the 4-pack is the 2-pack of this maybe $30, and it's at a really good price. And these figures aren't that bad either, so I don't get why people don't like these. But overall, it's really cool. Now for Ratchet, well, this is a completely different story. Now there are pros and there are cons to Ratchet. So I really do like that we get the red stripe and the Autobot insignia of life, which was absent on the original Ratchet. But one thing does throw me off is this back piece. Like, why is one half colored in blue and one half isn't? It's very peculiar why they decided to do that. And this didn't really alter anything. It doesn't alter transformation at all. So it's really weird why they chose to do that. But overall, the transformation is fluid. It's the same as the original Ratchet and Ironhide. But the only difference is this piece. Now, what would have been better for the Studio Series Broken guys if they could have an attachment piece, a replacement piece right here where you could attach a clean version of the windshield, and that would be looking better as we would have more accurate car forms for these characters. But overall, we win some and we lose some. Now for a comparison, I did want to bring in the original Ratchet compared next to this new Ratchet. Now we can clearly see the differences right here. Obviously the transparent windows and the line and the Autobot insignia of life. So overall we can see that even the whiteness on this one is starting to slowly fade, but it doesn't look that bad. And I feel like this one blends in more. I think the reason why this one is because it has transparent pieces of plastic here and this one doesn't. So yeah, I'm not so sure why Hasbro decided to make this one more animation accurate, as this is like the weaker form of Ratchet, but hey, at least we got one that's accurate somehow. And the same thing could also be said for Brawn and even Ironhide as well. As Ironhide and Ratchet, the dead versions of them do contain this little colored line. Meanwhile, the original ones do not. So it's pretty odd why they chose this, but I'm not really gonna let it bother me, as at the end of the day, they're just figures, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, that about concludes my review on the Transformers Studio Series Autobot 2-pack of Brawn and Ratchet. Now this 2-pack is exactly what I expected. The same mold, the same articulation, everything. The only difference that you're getting from this 2-pack is probably the sculpt work detail on both figures' chests and the face. And for Brawn, some little color differentials, and same thing could be said for Ratchet with more paint added on the vehicle mode. But other than that, nothing is different. The robot modes are practically the same. So honestly, this 2-pack isn't really worth buying if you already have the figures. But if you're a Transformers hardcore fan like me, then it's worth buying if you really want to complete that 1986 collection, or you just want a dead version of these guys just to remember the scene that traumatized you when you were a child. But overall, it's pretty cool that Hasbro decided to do this, and I am so glad that they did, and I think it's a really cool set. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't like this set, but I personally found it alright. It's an alright set. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10, which is a pretty good number for both figures. Now, you can get them at Target for $60, but if you have gift cards or you find any Target Circle deal that's going on, you could use that to get them at less, because $60 for 2 figures that are near enough deluxe class size is not really worth your pay. So honestly, buy these guys at a discount. I bought these guys for around $38, which by all means, it's not the best price, but it's better than $60. But overall, yeah, pretty cool. So that about concludes my review. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and in the words of Optimus Prime,
transform and roll out!